Batman 503 and I'm out. Take it away, Soph.
Welcome back to another episode of the Sophuckit Podcast. I'm Soph, your host, and today we have Godfather back with us. Welcome, Godfather. It's good to have you back.
Hello, thank you.
And this
Thank
is
you.
the show where we don't whisper, we don't sugarcoat, and we definitely don't avoid questions everyone else is too scared to ask. This is episode 8, and today, ooh baby, we are diving into a topic that has my eyebrows raised. So today's episode is called Why Are the Elites Buying Bunkers, Islands, and Farmlands? What do they know that we don't? What are they prepping for? And more importantly, why haven't they sent me an invite to their private island brunch? I mean, come on, I want to come. Grab your snacks, grab your conspiracy hat, and let's get into the Rich People Apocalypse Starter Pack, shall we? But first... Hey, Sophuckit Podcast crew, let's crank up the energy and talk shop. You know that killer Sophuckit store called the Sophuckit store, where we drop all of our merch, swag, and exclusive drops? So yeah, it's powered by none other than Shopify, the absolute beast of e-commerce platforms that makes building, customizing, and scaling your online empire a total rush. No coding nightmares, just drag and drop magic. Seamless payments and tools that turn your wild ideas into booming businesses faster than you can say sold out. If you're itching to launch your own hustle or level up what you've already got, hit the affiliate link right now in the description below. It's how we keep the vibes going and get a little love when you click through. So dive in, build big, and let's make those dreams pay off. Shopify, the secret sauce behind Sophuckit and your next win. Go make something happen. Click the link below in the description. Thank you so much. Okay, let's get into the Sophuckin' thing. So let's talk about what the fuck is going on. Let's start with the basics. Something is happening that's really weird over the last decade. We've got billionaires, politicians, CEOs, tech brothers, especially the people whose bank accounts have their own gravitational pull, if that's a real thing. And they have been quietly buying 3 specific things, okay? So they've been doing doomsday bunkers, private islands, and massive farmlands. Weird flex, but fire, okay, whatever. All 3 together, that's not a hobby anymore. That's an evil villain starter kit, in my opinion. So, what do you think about all this, Godfather?
I think, as everybody can see, the way things are going in the world, it's going a little nuts. And there is economic turmoil, and there are wars breaking out, and constant military conflicts, and these unfortunate incidents and issues are continuing to grow and get worse. There's a division between even Americans, between the left and the right, the rich and the poor, and that is kind of being emulated around the world. And I think the super rich and super elite, just like anybody else, they're very concerned with risk mitigation. And if things are going to go really badly, they want to make sure that they're alive and on top. And I think that makes sense. I think anybody else would. I myself am pretty good about risk mitigation. Part of what I do for work. I help a lot of companies mitigate risk and make sure that there is either a backup plan or a backup plan, or even a contingency plan to the backup plan. So I understand they need to want to make sure everything's safe, because when everything hits the fan, they want to make sure their families are okay, their businesses hopefully are okay, or just their ability to survive is okay. And so they're taking the massive amounts of wealth they have and using that to, by any means necessary, secure that safety and security for themselves. If you look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, just real basic philosophy, there are certain needs that humans need to secure, like food, shelter, and things like that for security, their families. And they're going to make sure they get to take care of those things by any cost, possible. Because, yeah, $2 million is great, but it's not worth anything if you are being threatened with, your life from famine or other nuclear holocaust or anything like that.
So let's talk bunkers first, because apparently every billionaire wants to live underground like some rich ass mole person. But what are they preparing for? What is it that they know that we don't know? Are they just doing this just in case, or are they spending billions and billions of dollars on something that they know is going to happen that they're not releasing to the public yet?
I mean, it's very likely they have connections and they have information that is not available to the general public. But I think you were right when you said billions and billions of being spent on this sort of thing. For example, Microsoft's Bill Gates, one of the world's first richest billionaires, is said to have bunkers beneath multiple homes. So he's got multiple locations of real estate that have safe rooms or bigger beneath them. Mark Zuckerberg, the CEO of Meta, which owns Facebook and WhatsApp and Oculus VR software, um, he has a $300 million compound in Hawaii that includes a 5,000 square foot underground bunker with his own energy, water, and food supply. Right, that's pretty extensive. I know he pissed off people in Hawaii doing it, but he took care of that. There are other celebrities who have things like this: Kim Kardashian, Tom Cruise, Peter Thiel. If you or sorry, Peter, yeah, Peter Thiel, and you may know that name from. He has a large contingent of fellows that go and do lots of research with him, and he's pretty well known. He's funded multiple political candidates as well, like George Soros and things like that. And so these really wealthy individuals have secured these bunkers in various parts of the world. And like you said, I mean, why are we not getting invited? I want to go to the bunker. I want to go hang out. I don't want to be, stuck here with the Holocaust. I mean, just all I need is the bunker and Pete Redhead, and I'm ready to go. Let's do this.
And these bunkers, they even have personalized medical centers inside of them. It's like they hire
Yes, indeed.
professionals. It's like, what the hell? Like, I wish I could afford that.
Yeah, once these estates hit the nine-figure mark, the demand shifts towards like full-scale underground sanctuaries, like for protection. I mean, I don't know if you've ever seen the TV show Fallout. I have not, but it's sounding a lot like what they're doing there, basically.
Mm.
And I don't want to say his name, but there is a casino owner in Las Vegas that is pretty well known. He has spent already over $200 million on his bunker inside of Las Vegas. So if that tells you anything, they're preparing for this stuff. Others are buying places in remote areas like Montana, Wyoming, things where, say, a nuclear holocaust wouldn't necessarily be a worry for them because there's no strategic targets there. Also, there's no real large population centers. So, like, if the fallout risk would be, mobs of people looking for food and things like that. Well, Montana, Wyoming are pretty remote, and people wouldn't necessarily be able to come there and bother them.
Remember, the more land that they buy up, that means the less you can have. That's another reason.
Mm-hmm. And I want to introduce our little mascot. He is, let's say, one of the elites, or pretending to be an elite. So yeah, welcome our mascot. He's just gonna look funny while we do this show.
One of the weirdest things I saw was Al Corby, who runs one of these organizations that builds these bunkers. One of his clients has requested they build a replica of a Monaco Formula One Grand Prix circuit, complete with like harbor tunnel for their kids to be able to drive these go-karts that run around 100 miles an hour. Now, that's a little indulgent. I don't know if you need all that to be safe and secure, but they're doing it. They're building it. And when you have that kind of money to burn, my real question is if you have got that kind of money to burn on this kind of like thing, why not use some of that money to prevent some of these atrocities from happening, prevent like economic disaster in some of these countries, prevent your fellow Americans from going so poor and if they're starving and desperate and they can't have homes. Like, we can prevent some of these things if we just tried. I mean, that's a lot of money going to be spent for just in case, when we could just keep it from happening in the first place,
I mean, unless they know that they can't prevent it. Like, I mean, is it an AI takeover? Is
Aliens?
it an alien or IRS agents? Economic collapse? I mean, meanwhile, I prep by having 2 extra boxes of ramen and pretending it's survival strategy. So,
Yeah.
what would you do if you had a billionaire bunker?
Oh gosh, I mean, I honestly, I don't know if I'd build a billionaire bunker. If I had that kind of money, I'd probably be doing things like opening up a STEM school, and then I would scholarship the kids there. And I know that sounds really magnanimous, like I'm going to be a good guy, but here's the thing: once they've gone to my school for a scholarship, they pretty much owe me. So whatever they invent when they get out of school, I'm going to own the patent to, and I'll be giving more money. So it's that's just how I would do it to make more money after that. But
Two great causes.
educate them in exchange. I get some sort of profit center in return. If I did have a bunker, I'd probably want to make sure I had like, gosh, I don't know. Probably just with what I do, some sort of recreational activity, swimming pool, redhead, that sort of thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
two blondes and a redhead. How's that?
It's hard to say what I would do with $1 billion. Ooh, I know that's never going to happen, so I just try not to think about it.
I've never considered it. Previously, in a recent venture of mine, I had partners, and out of the three partners, one of them was really frivolous with his money. The other one went to Colorado and bought a mansion and a McLaren. I spent most of my money rescuing refugees and animals, and I'm okay with that. It's
That's
fine. I'm fine with it.
awesome. Well, thank you for doing that
Yeah.
because animals, I love animals. I love animals more than I love people. So,
Me too. Me too. Me too. As shepherds, as stewards of the earth, that if there is God, He left the earth to us humans as top of the food chain. It's our job as stewards to help protect those animals and the planet we live on. And people keep saying we need to save the planet. I think the planet's gonna be fine. We need to save the human race. That's what we really need to do.
yeah. Mm.
So,
So let's talk about private islands. So why are the
okay.
elites buying these private islands? It's the most elite red flag of them all. Islands, no rules, no media, no witnesses. They're used for privacy. Billionaires own multiple islands, and
Nope.
they have a full-time staff living on site. They've got boats, helicopters, and only boats and helicopters access these islands. So you can't get there
That's true.
anyway else. So why are they getting these islands? Who are they trying to keep off or out of their way?
Everybody. I think mostly it's just a flex, right?
That too, that too.
Um,
And, if someone
there-
owns an island, I'm automatically suspicious because nobody buys an island for peace. They would buy it so nobody hears the screaming. I mean, the sound of them losing crypto.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's crypto even last that long.
I'd
But,
buy an island just to go and put me and my cat on. Everybody would leave us the hell alone.
but
Some of these billionaires have more than one island, believe it or not. Like you're saying, like for example, Richard Branson, who owns like Virgin Mobile, Virgin Airlines, Virgin Hotels. Which there's actually a Virgin Hotel right here in Chicago. He owns at least two or three that I know of. One is Necker Island in the British Virgin Islands, and another one is Mosquito Island in the British Virgin Islands. And I think Mosquito Island was purchased for about 12.6 million, which is not actually that bad considering. And then he bought the other one, Necker Island, for like I think less than $200,000, which is kind of a good deal. I think
whoa.
where he had to spend money was building infrastructure on that island afterwards. It's my understanding him and his wife Joan had also purchased an island just outside of Fiji, and he spends quite a few holidays there with his kids and his wife, or his late wife. I think we heard the news last week that his dear wife, passed away. 50 years of marriage, and I know Richard really loved his wife, and he's a good husband, and they had a really great relationship. And one of the things I like about him is even though he's a billionaire, he's not one of those guys that's like been really greedy or been a jerk. He's always used his money to help empower others because he knew that by empowering those others, it would help himself along the way. And I think he realized right away that a neighbor who has a good job and makes a good income is a neighbor who doesn't have to borrow money. So like kind of
There's
share the wealth guy.
definitely a huge difference between people who, has a lot of money and does good with it versus people like Epstein who buys private islands to do trafficking. And that makes you think,
Unfortunately,
are there other elites out there that are, because you hear the whole thing with the elites and the adrenochrome, them, taking this chemical out of children's heads to make them look younger. Is that a real thing? I don't know. Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't.
it's not out of the realm of possibility. There are certain things you could do. Like, for example, as you age, your genetic material, constantly as you continue to age, your cells will replicate in your neurons to repair the ones that are older or damaged. And as it does that, DNA splits apart and comes back together. At the very ends of the strands of DNA are something called telomeres. And the longer you live, the shorter those telomeres get. Now, if you are able to, say, harvest cells from other people who have very similar genetics or traits that won't necessarily conflict with your organs, that is a possibility. I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility. It's something that can happen.
I can see
I've
that.
heard stories about that before. There was a conspiracy of a synagogue in New Jersey where a bunch of rabbis were actually charged and put in prison because they were harvesting organs from, unfortunately, Palestinian civilians off the street, picking them up, taking their organs, and selling them to people in the black market right here in America, actually. And that guy, a lot of those people went to jail, actually, for that.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
We just
Fucked
had
up
a
things.
funeral home busted for not for misuse of a corpse or improper care of a corpse, and they had like 200 people, and it was all bad. It was weird.
That is something. Um,
So,
another guy who's got a bunch of odds. This name came up recently. The CEO of Oracle, Larry Ellison. He bought an island in Hawaii for about 300 million back in 2012, and everybody can do about that. I personally got to I had the pleasure of sailing by one of his boats, and it took a while to sail past his boat. This thing had a helicopter pad in the back, a swimming pool in the front, and a really large glass area to entertain his guests. And it comes with full crew and staff, and it's a very, very large boat. I think it's probably one of the biggest yachts in the world. Actually,
wow.
it's first or second biggest yachts in the world. Yeah, only trumped by the Sultan of Brunei and maybe a Russian oligarch. They're the only two that have a bigger yacht than him.
The reason that elites are buying farmland now, it could be to control food, control over people, control over
Sure,
food.
sure.
Um,
Yeah.
Farmland is stable, it's valuable, and produces resources. That could be another reason.
Yep.
And some elites, they're buying water rights.
Yes.
And
Yeah, they are.
others are experimenting with new crops out there.
Mhm.
But come on, why are they doing all this to let them survive off grid? They've got to know something that we don't know. And they're preparing for it. And when shit goes down, we're not going to be prepared. As, people that aren't elites, that don't have billions, what are we supposed to do? I think it's really fucked up how they do.
I think it's just work for them.
Yeah. Mm.
Well, I mean, so a couple things to keep in mind is as the growing population of Earth continues to soar, it kind of doubles every couple of years. And right now we're right around 8 billion people. That's the most we've ever had on the planet Earth at one given time.
Don't want that
And
many.
to make things worse, to complicate matters, we have a larger population. We have less viable farmland than we ever had before. A lot of the topsoil that was there from several thousand years ago is eroding away. So we've introduced certain things, certain technologies to help us with yielding higher and higher food supplies to feed the population of the Earth. For example, one of them is GMOs. I know GMOs get a really bad rap. Most people don't like GMOs. They hear GMO, they think Monsanto, they think corrupt business practices, they think genetically modified food that could cause problems later or has unknown complications that could be caused later by that sort of thing. I think for the most part, GMOs are relatively a good thing. For example, whereas before with one piece of farmland, say 10 acres, we could yield enough crops to feed, say, the state of Indiana, right? But because of GMOs, we could actually grow more corn in denser bunches on that same piece of land and now feed the state of Indiana, the state of Illinois, and the state of Ohio. That same piece of farmland, right? So with more people being on this planet, being able to feed more people is a good thing. Now, we have policies in place, however, to get farmers not to grow stuff with subsidies, right? We pay the farmers, they don't grow anything, and that comes out of tax dollars. I think it's time we start seeing an end to some of those kinds of programs, let the farmers grow stuff, and if we have a surplus, we start offering those surpluses to other countries. But there are countries who need the food supplies, places in Africa, China even. And I know China's been our business partner for many things. Most of what China gets agriculturally comes from Canada because they don't have their own agricultural economy there. They don't grow corn, they don't grow wheat, they don't grow soy, and a lot of the swine that they purchase comes out of Canada's stockpile. Now, if we're able to grow that food from America and sell that food to other countries, the American farmer can make a really good dollar. It won't go to waste. We want to spend tax dollars to subsidize them not to grow stuff, right? So with the GMOs doing that, I think it's a good thing. With that happening and the elite understanding what's going on with the shortage of food supply, the growing population, they're banking on these farmlands because they think that this is going to be the new brick of gold. Like farmland is going to become rare. It's a rare commodity, and every rare commodity goes up in value as time goes on, right?
Yeah.
So that's fresh water, that's farmland, and the ability to produce for the human population. Oil, America's pretty much secured most of the oil in the world for themselves right now at this point. So now American businessmen are going after the next couple of commodities. And as those things come in short supply, whoever controls that stuff is going to control the ability for their population to survive.
That's true.
It's going to be a fight to the death, right?
And we're always
Yeah.
going to need oil. I mean, even though we're creating electric cars, we still need oil. It's not that everyone's driving an electric car.
What do you think charges those batteries for those cars?
Coal power plants, which is really funny instead of nuclear.
It's
And
the
the thing that
same.
really bugs me, the thing that bugs me most about them is they sold us this bill of goods where we'll have wind and solar panels to charge these
See,
cars, but Solar panels make up less than 2% of the power generation in this country. Wind power makes up less than 2% of the power generation.
The
Most of the
reason
power in this country comes
that
from nuclear and coal power plants. I know that because I worked in power generation for many years. Right?
well,
Um,
they want electric cars because guess what? When you're in an electric car, at any point in time, they can shut it down and they can lock you in it.
that's true too. That's true
They
too. Yeah, yeah,
control where you go, when you go, how you go, if you go.
right. Unless you're smart enough to say, hang on to like a classic '67 Corvette with a beautiful, convertible top or whatever. Um, those kind of cars will become very rare as far as commodities
Yeah.
go, but they will not be controlled by microchips or cellular waves or any
Nope.
of that stuff, right?
Anything that's got a motor in it that takes gasoline or diesel.
Combustion, sure, yeah.
Maybe
On
some.
that note, sorry, I was saying Porsche has come up with a new design. It's a six-stroke engine where it does a double compression and combustion cycle. So, like when cars are running, usually what happens is when the pistons combust, it exhausts gas and fumes into the air. But now Porsche has a new design where it takes that exhausted fumes of gas, recompresses it into the cycle, and blows out again. So now it's an 80% efficiency rating on that engine, and so it basically wastes nothing, and they even get more horsepower out of the same engine. And Porsche has got the patent for that design, and you'll start seeing some of their new cars starting this year, actually.
I mean, I'll never be able to afford one of those stuff.
You never know. You never know.
You know what's scary?
Hopefully.
Rich
A
people,
lot of things.
they don't buy anything unless they plan to profit from it. And meanwhile, I can't even take care of my house plant and keep it alive.
Most of the time,
So,
most of the time when they buy it, they don't buy it in their name. They put it in their business name, their LLC name, so that way, it's the tax
Mitigate
write-off.
risk. That too.
yep. These elites, I don't think they deserve it. Just because, like, they pass down through generations of wealth. Come on. Like, enough.
Some of these guys did some wealth building, and I'm okay with those people doing what they want while they're around. But I don't see where the merit exists for them to hand all of that down to their progeny. I think $1 billion for an inheritance is more than enough for like a few generations. That's 1,000 million. But say, for example, in Elon Musk's case, he has $466 billion.
Mm.
So let's take that other 465 billion and we put it in a pool that educates the common man. We level the playing field. We can create programs like for education incentives. For example, if you graduate high school, we'll give you $50,000. If you graduate college, we'll give you $100,000. Graduate medical school, we'll give you another 250,000. Now we have kids who are incentivized not to drop out, right? They will finish their educations, get certificates of welding or plumbing or whatever. And when they do, they'll be coming out of school, not with debt, but with enough capital to start buying their own homes, financing their practices if they're doctors or dentists, and they would be able to contribute to the economy, hiring people, home builders, things like that, like they've never been able to before. I think that would be a better use.
What do all of these purchases that the elites are doing, what do they all have in common? The bunkers, the islands, the farmlands. Well, A, you're either terrified of something, B, you're planning something, or C, you don't want to share your snacks in general public. So it's got to be either A or B, and there's really no other explanation for it. I mean, is there, in your
I
opinion?
think it's just a symptom of a bigger problem. It's what's caused some of these issues in the first place. And I think we were able to just extrapolate that a little bit. The problem here is greed. Greed has always been a major problem. They're selfish. They don't want to share. And if you tell people about some of these policies I talked about, like for example, that education one, a lot of people are against it because they believe that they earn that money, that they should be able to do whatever they want, to give it to whoever they want. And the thing is, most of the people who disagree with me will never, ever have that kind of wealth. I'm talking about taxing only the billionaire class. And the people that argue with me the most are the ones who've not even come close to hitting the millionaire class. So I don't understand why they have such a problem with that. I'm talking about me paying for their kids' school so they don't have to. I think that's a good idea. I don't see why so many of them are against it. And these are the same people that empower these billionaires to do the things they do. They don't hold them accountable. They don't elect them out of office, and they keep holding these guys up like they're heroes. And like I hear this story about Trump being a successful businessman. A successful businessman in America pays his bills, pays his vendors, pays his employees, and then turns a profit. Trump did not do that. Trump cheated taxpayers, Trump cheated his vendors and his employees, and he kept the money for himself. That to me is not a successful businessman. That's a cheat. But
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand where that cognitive dissonance is.
And a puppet, in my opinion. But
Maybe,
yeah,
yeah.
I
It's
mean,
funny you say that. Like I think with Epstein Island, with all those people doing compromising things, there's rumors about the Mossad being involved. Now, if you have an intelligence agency with compromising material on like high-level American elite politicians, that's something you could leverage them for and leverage them for policy and take policy any way you want if you have that kind of information. We've seen it before with J. Edgar Hoover. Now we're seeing it with Epstein.
hmm,
I think it's dangerous. I think it's scary.
that is, yeah, it is scary. Well, here's the top theories that's floating around why these elites are owning these bunkers, islands, and farmlands. Number one, elites expect a massive economic collapse. Number two, they're prepping for climate disasters. Number three, fear of global conflict. And then AI going rogue. You know, what's his face who developed Chat GPT? What's his name again?
Oh, Sam Altman.
Yes, thank you. He carries around a blue backpack with the button to press just in case AI were to take over. It just crashes all the Chat GPT systems and stuff.
Interesting.
Yeah, and also they're saying pandemics 2.0. That's a big one. And of course, like you say, just rich people being rich and paranoia and, you know, wanting to have everything for themselves and greed. But, you know, honestly, it all makes sense. I think it could be one of any of those, you know. We don't know. We just don't know. If I had billionaire money, I would also be like, goodbye, society. Y'all are just too loud for me.
Yeah, for sure.
All
I mean,
right.
you could do what Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk, maybe just fly a rocket to space and you'll just get away from all these people. You know, do that.
If I could get outside the firmament, yeah.
There
All right,
you
guys.
go.
Let's go to our next segment, the Ferret Files. Enjoy, guys. The Ferret Files.
Bah! Let's go in before you get sick.
Okay, fine.
What do you want for Christmas?
I want a gun for Christmas.
You'll shoot your eye out. I'll get him a toy gun instead. He'll never know the difference. Time for bed. Happy holidays. No guns for me.
And that concludes today's Ferret Files. They're just too much and they're just too cute. All right, now let's go on. It's time for AMA, Ask Me Anything.
Ask me anything.
This is the part of the show where you send me your anonymous questions and I answer them out loud right here on the show. So, ask me anything. You can go to Sophuckit.com, navigate to the AMA section of the site, and ask me anything. Question 1, we have, what was your most awkward/embarrassing sexual moment? It could be something you did or have happened to you. Don't hold back. Oh my gosh. That's a good question. I'm going to have to think on that. I don't really know if there was I will tell you my most embarrassing or awkward kiss. It was in high school. It was this guy, crap, I don't even remember his name, but his breath smelled like raw, rotten onions. And I could not, like, ugh, like I almost puked in his mouth and in mine. And yeah. That's probably all I got, really. I don't know if there's really an embarrassing sexual moment, but I'll have to think on that and let you know next week. Thank you for that question. Question number 2, who's the last person you texted? Oh gosh, you guys are getting into my personal stuff. Let me see. The last person I texted was Awfully. So yeah, there's that. That's all the questions that I have for this week. So yeah, write me more questions, guys, for next episode. Go to Sophuckit.com. All right, so final thoughts. What do you got? You got anything?
I mean, I've got a lot. I mean, there's like, I with the elites of this world, I think there's a lot of commonalities between them and something that people should probably look at. Like, for example, I said 10% of the world's elites all went to Harvard, really good institution, best school money could buy. I would be curious to see how many of them went to Oxford, which is probably the world's oldest university, started in 1086, so really a long time ago. 43% of them went to the Ivy League schools. A large portion of them are members of secret societies like the Trilateral Commission, Council on Foreign Relations, Bilderbergers. some people say Illuminati, and the Masons are also part of that. A large number of our U.S. presidents have been members of the Skull and Bones Secret Society, which just comes out of Yale University. Something else to be considered is a lot of these presidents have a lineage, a legacy. For example, if I'd ask people who was the worst president in American history, I would say Franklin Pierce, because he's literally what led to the Civil War, the split of the Union. Splitting up the country to me is probably about as bad as president you can get. However, we put it back together, which is great. And several years later, his great niece, Barbara Pierce, ended up marrying a man named George Herman Walker Bush, who ended up becoming president of the United States. And their son, George W. Bush, ended up becoming president of the United States. And however you may feel about those guys as far as their job performance, it just goes to show you that bad leadership is America's apple pie. It is a legacy thing. And thankfully, we got through one, we got through the other. We'll keep getting through them because America's that strong. But I think it is telling to say that like so many members of just a few number of families have held that position. When you consider the timeline of the Earth, we've only had about maybe 50 billion people who ever existed, and only 49 of those people ever out of the 50 billion be able to call themselves the prestigious title President of the United States of America. It's a real small number of people to have that group, and I have concerns about like just locking that position up to a few small families.
You know what I think that it is? I think that these families the elite families, they tie in with Satan's bloodline. I think that's, why they're so powerful, because they have that bloodline of, power, Satan, to deceive.
They all go back to the royal aristocracy of Europe too, a lot of them as well, actually.
Exactly.
For example, before World War I, one of the things that was supposed to keep the world at peace was Queen Victoria had three grandsons, essentially. One was the King of England. Her other grandson was the Kaiser of Germany. And the other one was Tsar Nicholas of Russia. So these three men controlled Europe, and it was supposed to keep everything safe. And yet, the powers that be didn't want it to stay that way because money needed to change hands. So World War I broke out. It's just very telling that there was one family who was controlling all of Europe, and they couldn't keep it safe for everybody. And who ended up dying in this war? Everybody died. Very scary. Yeah.
You were telling me during the break, how they document people who talk about certain things. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, well, our intelligence community has some programs. I think Edward Snowden disclosed some of these things to the public, but there are programs like Project Prism where they do track data that comes in and out of our devices. So your text messages, your emails, your phone calls, and for the most part, most Americans are just making calls like anybody else would to their sons or daughters or neighbors, whatever, arrange barbecues. However, there are certain people in our society who do nefarious things, drug dealers, terrorists, things like that. When those people are in contact with each other, they will use code words, most likely. However, the artificial intelligence has gotten very good at kind of deciphering some of these things. So when you send a message to somebody and it's about, say, something nefarious like committing a terrorist attack, for example, like if you text the word bomb to somebody or start talking about a flight that's going to have, right.
Giants or conspiracy theories.
Right. What ends up happening is a lot of the language that's used in these conversations will have a score associated with them. So say you text the word bomb or aliens or whatever, that has a score, and it ticks up on your score. And as an individual, your intelligence score will continue to rise as more and more incidents occur. And once you get to a certain level, your file gets transferred from AI to a human being to monitor you. And from there, they will monitor you to make sure, like if anything else is going on. The CIA does this really well, actually. If you are involved in nefarious activities, they will want to make sure that somebody's keeping an eye on you. And if you get to be doing something dangerous to the U.S. government, to the population, they're going to want to intervene. And that's how they use that kind of method to kind of keep tabs on most people. Does it always work? No. Do we sometimes fail? Yes. But they are pretty good at it. And they've gotten even better with the power of AI to actually track some of this stuff. You don't need half the population to watch the other half anymore. Now the computer can do most of it. Right?
And how do you know this information again? Can you disclose that?
I can talk about some of it. As a engineer and as a technology worker, I've been had the privilege to serve in various capacities for the U.S. government and for agencies that contract for the U.S. government. In those capacities, I've been able to provide advisory capacity to them on how to develop some of these technologies. Used in the right way, it is supposed to protect American lives, and I hope that's what they're using it for. However, if it is used improperly, it can be used to abuse things and create power for individuals who want to seek power. So it's all a matter of making sure that these kinds of tools are put into a public trust of people that are of good moral character. That can sometimes become, questionable. I think it's up to the American people to make sure that we hold our leaders accountable and replace them when they should be replaced if they're not doing the job that we hired them for. You should treat politicians like babies' diapers. They should be changed frequently and for the same reason. You know what I mean?
Thank you for sharing that. Is there anything else
Absolutely.
you want to share?
I think I should disclose, like we were talking about the elites and their islands. I'm part of the Aga Khan family. My uncle who passed away in February, his son is now the fourth Aga Khan. Our family does have an island in the Bahamas called Bell Island, which was purchased for about $100 million. And I didn't want to just like graze over that without at least disclosing who I am and, those people, because yes, I do have a connection. I do benefit from having that family association. But, I do think that this money's being spent a little indulgently, and maybe we should curb some of that, because there's two kinds of kings. One kind of king believes that the people exist to provide his treasury with wealth. We don't want that king. The other kind of king believes that the treasury exists to provide the people with means to improve their lives. People with wealth and resources have a responsibility to help those who don't. That includes wealth of knowledge, wealth of money, and so on and so forth. And I want to see more of that second kind of king come to fruition in this world.
I do too. And unfortunately, I think that it's the other one that's running the world. And that's not a good kind, unfortunately. Thank you so much for sharing this information with us.
Thanks for having me so much, Sophie. Appreciate it.
You have been so awesome to have, and I want to continue to have you on the show, for real. That's all we got for today's show. Hopefully you guys learned something. I want you guys to stay loud, stay bold, stay unbothered. Thank you for listening to episode 8 of the Sophuckit Podcast. Send in your AMA questions for next episode on Sophuckit.com. And yeah, remember, if a billionaire buys land next to you, start digging your own bunker. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.
Right on. Take care, guys.